Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, Earth Keepers, Starseeds, all the warriors, dreamers, creators of this new world, as we amplify and implant the seeds of light in this very, very powerful time. I am Ashea, and today I'm just going to be sharing some of my astrological insights, and we will do a meditation together. So, the paramount of this time astrologically, we just came through the last year's eclipse season, which was the Capricorn, Cancer energies. The Capricorn, the North Node being in Cancer. So 2019, we were healing our bloodlines, healing family wounds, and becoming aware of the restructuring. So during this journey, hello beautiful, beautiful friends, checking in now. So during this 2018, 2019, we're just going to reflect now on where we are and where we've come from 2018, 19, 20, and where we're going, yeah? So what I want to share with you is we were becoming aware of the family wounds and the restructuring. So the seeds were being planted throughout 2019, and we were putting a lot of our building in place, the placement of everything that we were activating through that time. Just doing the work, going deep into the work, healing the inner child. And so that was on a very fundamental level, yeah? Because it was more about the energy, the soul, doing the inner work, but also then putting ourselves out there on the world stage as well, like presenting ourselves and showing courage in what we were to share, becoming more courageous as light bearers on this planet. And everything that you've done up until this point, throughout this journey, throughout this time, everything has value. Nothing is ever lost. Even if you planted seeds and you didn't see the growth is inside you. Hello from California. Hey everybody. I'm going to be just sharing some astrological insights of the time and what we're all going through at this time, yeah? Ashea here. So, with that Capricorn and Cancer energy of the soul and the restructuring, the seeds were planted. Then 2020, we have now experienced the demolition of the old world. And many of us are sitting here and we are just, hello from the UK, Australia here. Yeah, so many of us are just sitting now, we're sitting back and we're watching the world be completely turned upside down. It's ridiculous, yeah? So we're just, this thing that we have been anticipating for a long time now, and we're watching this, everything just go the other way around, and it's like, it's a blessing, but it's also, you know, there's a lot of instability in it and uncertainty at this time. As we sit back and we watch the show go on, and we are also becoming so aware of the duality that is like dividing people as well. And many of us people who are a part of the central, the middle way, bringing the heart and bringing an understanding to the conversation between the two sides, and trying to see something that each is trying to achieve. So we are now coming into this point where we've seen everything just crumble, and we're just waiting. Like, it's good to, at this time, to observe your mind and watch the dust settle. So this is why we are now given a grace period at this time to not push forward with anything, but because a lot of planets are now in retrograde, we are now going back over every little thing, you know what I mean? Going through the accounts, going through the files to clear out what's no longer relevant, and to take, oh wow, okay, so there's some information there that's still very vital that I was very tapped into before. And now it's actually something I can put together into, and it's like this gathering process we're in at the moment, energetically, yeah? So one thing I want to share about the eclipses this year is it's the Sagittarius and Gemini energies. So with it being the Sagittarius and Gemini energies, this is about the arrow of faith, giving the higher perspective through the heart and the universal truth. So we're getting a whole, like the higher we can lift ourselves above the world at this time and get the overview, we can be less caught up into the he said, she said duality of everybody getting too attached to the stories, the storyline, yeah? So with the Gemini energy, it's like we're if we can become aware, we are also we're able to watch the stories, also listen to our own stories that are not serving us as well, and become less attached, yeah? Because I think the desire for a lot of us is to connect. Like, we want to have stimulating, satisfying conversations. This is something that was, you know, like we were experiencing occasionally with friends and different groups and communities, but even within that, like, people just get stuck in their ways and the conversation stops as soon as we become attached to a view, a certain view. But the transmission that and perspective I want to bring in is like, you landed here in this world, you were birthed through this world, but we're all inside a program. And what is that program telling us? What kind of intelligence is that program revealing to us at this time? And how can we detach from the program and remember from the heart level who we are? Who am I? What did I actually come here to do? It takes a lot of courage to speak your truth. And we are all called now to gently speak our truth. The Sagittarius energy, though, can be a little bit initially, once it gathers some information, it can come out blazing arrows, you know, and then that's obviously not the best way to bring a harmony to the duality of both sides. It will strike a chord that brings light to the situation. But it's in truth, it's in universal truth. And if that intention is to unify, is to harmonize, then you will be much more on the mark. But then there's this other sense that we are learning as well. We're learning to not be afraid in being in the conflict as well. Because it's when we run away from the conflict, this is when things never really resolve. You know, we will always have to eventually come back and face and to see and to look and to sit in the center of the storm. So many of us, light workers, awakened souls who are here to be part of this great awakening, we are here to be in our hearts, to show people the path of the heart at this time. And the Gemini and Sagittarius energy, which is the eclipse season this year, So just as the world is now being rebuilt and Saturn has gone into Aquarius, and it's like, okay, so we now need to take responsibility for human rights. Human rights is the big topic at this time. We need to address what hasn't been addressed before. Hence, things like Black Lives Matter. It's going to actually, and then in response to that, the conversation is Black Lives Matter. Yes, Black Lives Matter. And then the conversation says, oh, but all lives matter. And then it's like, oh, but you can't say that when this needs to get resolved. So it's like, yes, no, the truth is everybody can say what they have to say, because the pure intention in humanity at this time is, in truth, humans really care about each other, and we have come so far in our evolution, and there is ancient worlds and ways that we have known in our soul for a long time as well that also say that we were all one before. You know, there was never this racial thing has never really made sense to a lot of people on the ground level living their life, yeah? But yeah, so it's all about, you know, we have seen everything as a perpetuated story, and a lot of stuff has gone down that has not been justified. So we are coming to a point of justice at this time, and the eclipse season. So we've just gone through the new moon, Gemini, full moon, Sagittarius. So what it is, it's the narrative. What stories am I believing in? And what actually makes me feel alive? Like what information actually activates my DNA? What information activates my cells and says, yes, this is true. This is coming from the heart. This makes sense. And I don't have to understand it to know that it makes sense. But I feel it. And I feel it in every cell of my being. This is activating information. So this is what Sagittarius is bringing to that Gemini, the mind itself. So this conversation can happen that's satisfying for each side to listen to each other. There has been a long time of one side always fighting against the other, but neither gets heard, neither gets listened to, fully heard for the information it presents, yeah? So this is what's being activated in the collective at this time. So my invitation to many of you out there listening, and maybe listening further down when this is uploaded, is how can I ingeniously create harmony within opposition? How can I invite that conversation with myself, within myself, and then with others, in a way that hears them, listens to them, but then also imparts a view that also says, well, we all want the same thing. We all want fairness for all humans. We all want a fair go. And with Saturn being in Aquarius, the responsibility is now the individual needs to be looked at. There's so many people with so many different skills, talents, abilities, and we need to restructure our society. So with Aquarius being on the Saturn at this time, it's like Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and it will bring the light to those things of where we're stuck. It's like the electrical system stepping into a stagnant structure and then going, okay, so there's so much not working here. Like, we need to break this down, and we need to bring in an understanding here. And there were so many systems shut down and stagnant. So we need to activate, we need to awaken that, we need to see, we need to know. So this is what's happening on a collective level at this time. So for you, the individual, we are now asked to take stock, to gather things, to clean up. Everyone's going through a cleanup at this time. You know, we're cleaning up our homes. We're going through all of our old files. And with all the retrograde energy, we're being asked to really get thorough in salvaging what is good and letting go of what is not. And then the Gemini energy, it's open curiosity. Inviting people to have an open curiosity, to have a conversation that could be healing. It's like a dialogue with the soul. To speak your truth from your heart, to be heard. And then to know what I was saying before, like if we are inside a program, what have I fallen for? What have I taken the bait for? You know, what story that isn't really how I feel have I gotten caught up in, you know? So we get caught up in other people's fights, but on a personal level, it's not really what we feel. And there's a level of compassion growing now in the collective to say, yes, okay, so that's an issue, but let's look at it honestly. Let's look at what is going there. Let's not be afraid to find out the information, to learn, to ask the questions, to ask the true questions, and then be unafraid of what is presented to you. So within the conversation is one thing, but with the dominating planets at this time, we see the conversation is about our structure, is about the politics in every country, is how are we now going to plant the seeds as the world is now upside down. Everybody's just like, it's like the whole world's been turned upside down, yeah? So we're sort of just sitting back and watching the show and just watching the craziness of it all. But another invitation for you is to just hold your light. Earth keepers, star seeds, holding your light, connecting to Mother Earth, because this is the return of the divine goddess energy, the return of the healing of our connection to Mother Earth, and what truly sustains us and truly nourishes us at this time. So coming into that space, the intuition, the feet planted on the earth, feeling the sunshine shining through your cells as you breathe, you allow yourself to breathe. And wherever you each are strategically placed at this time, just knowing you are in the right place, you are in the right time, and you will be impulsed to move when the time is right. Many people are thinking about, where do I go? Like, where am I coming from? Where am I going? And is it okay to stay where I am? But if you are in a place where you cannot move at this time, if there's a way to move into a place that you are guided to go, because that's what this Sagittarius energy is about. It's also asking us to open to the nomadic soul who walks the earth. But this is not just physical journeys, this is spiritual journeys. This is taking your spirit on a quest. So this whole year, the invitation is to dive deeper into the inner quest, the inner questing of your soul, asking for the true information, the true knowledge to fall on your lap, and just trusting that it will come. So let's just do a little meditation to complete this powerful observation at this time, because like we are going to have a few eclipses this year, and we just had a partial eclipse, and they're all falling on the Gemini Sagittarius energy. So this is mind. This is claiming back your mind. This is saying, I am sovereign. This is saying, I can speak my truth. This is the courage to stand up and speak for the rights of others, for the rights of the collective at this time, and to bring the universal vision, the vision of your heart, the vision of your light, the vision of your mind, through the connection, through pure source light, allowing that connection to your higher self. So when you're experiencing the duality of this side and this side, which are both valid because it's the two sides that make up the whole, and you're feeling the fight within, and you're seeing the fight on the outside as these two begin to communicate and question and listen and answer each other through that duality, let's start seeing the pathways to the center. How can they both start letting go and coming to the center of truth, the center of innocence, the center of the heart? And then from the heart space, the arrow strikes, bringing the light through the pure source light. Sagittarius also rules religion. And what does that mean these days? The doctrines, the universal systems, yeah? So aligning with the pure light of the divine geometry through the higher systems, opening to that through your I am presence, through the fact that you are I am. You are the God presence. Your higher self is the God presence. You are the returned Christed one. We are learning that nothing is outside of us anymore. We are learning that that was an open and endless and empty road to constantly being lost and left out in the cold. We are learning that the journey is home to the inside of one's soul, the inside of oneself. As within, so without. As above, so below. I'm going to do a quick reading for all signs now. So for where the eclipse is going to be affecting you and your sign at this time. So let's look at that. And so one thing I will say, this could be sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, yeah? So Aries, this is affecting your house of higher learning, the higher self. Many Aries people will be very inspired to be the warriors of the truth at this time, to learn, to open the mind, to expand, to grow. So that's the Sagittarius, that's the higher self calling you. Third house Gemini. So sitting in its own house, within the I am presence, it's like, where am I getting stuck within a certain way of seeing things? And how can I open to listen to someone else's viewpoint and come into more balance with my viewpoints and gather that information so that I can begin to feel more alignment, more truth, more harmony. So Aries is now activating their skills. So you're going to be learning a lot of new things. You're going to be working on projects. You're going to be very active in whatever it is that you've been dreaming of doing for years that enhances your skill set, yeah? And then also awakens and opens the mind more. Taurus, it's activating your 8th house, which is the house of the shaman, the scorpionic house, and it's also activating your 2nd house. So the development for Taurus this year is going to be deep transformational healing through the bloodlines, through energy, and realizing that nothing is lost. And also the 2nd house, so it's about your money. It's about, the resources and your money. And money is a really big topic for Taurus at the moment, with saving, with how I'm going to create something of substantial value in the world, and also be able to have something that shows for it after this time, that's physical, that's tangible. But there's also a real cleanup going on the spiritual level for Taurus at this time. you know, letting go of like anything that's been in the closet, burning away all that residue from resentments from the soul, from past lives, from past connections, relationships, interactions, you know, becoming more free in your spirit. Gemini, this is going to be affecting the self, the I am presence, and your relationships in the house of Libra. And the Geminis are going to be going through a full overhaul of the personality, the identity, the physical self. It's because Gemini's energy is much like the butterfly who takes the metamorphic journey into understanding itself and its own freedom, and the different levels of the journey in consciousness, in learning and growing and becoming. This is happening on the first house, the personality level. And then also it's going, the Sagittarius energy is going to be about true love, true relationship. What is it that brings that light to my soul within my relationships with others, within business, and true love I'm seeing here as well. Cancer, this is affecting your house of work and your 12th house. So the Gemini energy is in the 12th house, so it's like very much connected to the collective at this time. You know, the deep intelligence within the collective of all the conversations going, and a lot of energy around the collective conversation and the division within duality, and trying to bring unity to that, bringing in this Piscean energy to that, like a level of compassion in listening to everybody, in trying to understand and to find a reason and a flow for everyone's place within what they represent. And then the 6th house is like structure, routine, getting some work done. And that's in the Sagittarius energy. So because it's Sagittarius energy, we see a desire for flow, a desire for instinctual routine. So a routine that also allows you a sense of freedom, and also to ignite your creative fire, but to organize your creative fire. So that's for Cancer. Leo, this is going to be, wow, okay, so the Sagittarius energy is in Leo's 5th house. It's in Leo's Leo house. So it's like the Leo energy is like your creative expression. So the fire of your creative expression, creating something beautiful that comes from the story, telling the story, throat chakra activation for Leo, and the courage to speak the truth through your story, coming and transcending out of the self and vanity that Leo is known for, and into this fearless truth speaking, and knowing that there's always beauty in the truth. Leo is going to be, because this is the 5th house, it's about creative expression. So working on projects that are all about the alignment of truth and the true Godhead, and returning people back to the pure source of that divine truth. Then 11th house for Gemini. So this is about like the global conversation at this time. So getting involved in the global conversation, and fearlessly speaking up for the rights of humanity at this time. Virgo, there's a big overhaul of your 4th house and your 10th house, and that makes sense for me because I'm Virgo. So this is going to be, so the 4th house is like home, and that's in Sagittarius. So it's like being guided. Virgo's being very guided to move to different places, maybe to access light through the pure knowledge within the earth. And because it's the 4th house, this connects us to earth and roots. So we see the Sagittarius energy activating that. So it's the truth within the roots of knowledge, the digging, going deeper, and bringing up from the center of the earth the true information of that pure source light. Then also being maybe possibly a grid worker, bringing that light and implanting vibration through the movement that you must take, And then it's the 10th house. It's the public arena. It's the really interesting, a strong interest in how we are rebuilding at this time through the conversations and bringing that structural conversation of the government. You know how the government is like there's extreme left and extreme right. So Virgo really like wants to understand at this time how that conversation can come to an understanding and a central place where nothing's being missed, and we are addressing all needs of the people at this time. Libra, this is activating your 3rd and your 9th house. So the Sagittarius is in the 3rd house. So this is your learning, your skill set, growing. But like Libra is learning to open their mind to bigger perspectives, coming out of the small-mindedness into a larger frame of understanding, and also activating more of your spiritual qualities. Yes, and communicating with the heart of that fire, and speaking your truth in relationship to others, and being very connected to your intuition and your inner self and your inner light, your inner fire. So an overhaul is happening there for your skill set in growing and learning and doing courses that help you grow, help you see things from a new perspective, expand you beyond your known limits. And then the Gemini is coming into the 9th house, so it's learning those details within the understanding of the knowledge and the structure as it exists now, and opening that conversation with spirit that also values those more media type conversations that are about facts and figures and stuff. So Libra's definitely going through an overhaul of learning in the mind at this time, mind expansion and growth. Scorpio, the 2nd house, finances, and the 8th house, spirit. So it's like accessing the inheritance of the spirit through your journey at this time and where you've come from or where you're going. So it's the 8th house of Scorpio is getting activated by the Gemini energy, and the 2nd house is getting activated by Sagittarius. So grander schemes of how you can create wealth and abundance in your life. And this will be connected with connecting people to their truth. It'll be connected to the honesty that one has to oneself. So entrepreneurship within different things that you've been wanting to teach and grow with for a long time now. And then the Gemini energy, the dialogue of the soul, that is opening that conversation with spirit, ancestors, asking the ancestors for ways, for information. So this is a conversation with your ancestry, or learning about your ancestry, where you've come from, what keys are in there, what can I learn about myself within the stories that I'm telling today, and how can I also change those stories that are affecting my spirit and also my ability to feel abundant in the world, to feel valued. Sagittarius, we have the 1st and the 7th house. So 1st house Sagittarius is experiencing the eclipse. So this is the physical self, how I'm showing up. How am I showing up in life? Am I showing up with wisdom, courage, the ability to show exactly who I am? 7th house, what is the dialogue? What is the conversation that is going on in my relationships? What stories have I been telling myself within my relationships for a long time now? And how can I get those conversations to now speak more harmoniously with each other, and to see and to listen to each other rather than being righteous? Because Sagittarius can also be known for righteousness, being up on your high horse, you know, like I know the way, I am the truth, I am the power. And that may well be true in an energy sense of what they represent, but as we're all human, we also can get lost in our stories and our information. So this is affecting the I am presence, the me, myself, my I, and also the other, the partnership, where the sun rises and the sun sets. How is that happening in a day? How are we rising and how are we concluding? How are we coming full circle and coming to a resolve that is satisfying and stimulating? Yeah. Capricorn, we have the 12th house and the 6th house being activated. So the Sagittarius energy is in the 12th house for Capricorn. So this is going deeper into more hermit mode, I guess, but it's like really asking the deeper questions within oneself, and really wanting to see on the collective level an overhaul of belief systems within religions and doctrines, yeah? So bringing that Pisces dissolution energy to the doctrine within one's own subconscious mind, where one has told stories that keep one stuck. Then through the house of Virgo, it's like, how can I operate more freely on a day-to-day basis and keep my energy flowing and keep my conversations open? So it's not just about hiding in your cave and learning and going deep. It's also about the routine of how one also grows their skill set. Because when we look at the house of Gemini, we're also looking at early learning. We're looking at how we learn, how we build our skill set. And for Capricorn, this is also getting it, like it's like, now organize yourself. It's like, how can I organize myself and structure myself so I can get the value out of everything that I have learned up until this point? And how can that also bring value back into the fold of the collective? Yeah? And this is all that same dialogue, the conversation, the stories. What stories are serving my highest good, and what can I just put back in the trash or put back in, put it in the fire, So then we have Aquarius, and Aquarius is fully getting activated for the 11th house. So Aquarians are really being put on the front line at this time with the story of humanity. What is the story of humanity, and what is the truth, and what are the untold stories at this time? And how can we bring back the light of the truth to all situations, and to take that arrow and let it go straight into the target of truth? So Aquarius energy, anyone who has Aquarius rising, Aquarius within any of their houses, they are going to be really getting activated throughout this year to be on that front line of sharing information, and also sharing your creative expression, your creative self-expression at this time, because the house of Leo is being activated by Gemini. So this is like your creative self-expression, the multitude of different projects, the dexterity of that Gemini energy of being able to turn your hand to many things, and then giving those a full expression, and allowing those creations to come off the shelf. Anything that you've held back on, it's now time to express it. It's time to get it out. It's time to transcend oneself for the sake of truth and for speaking for the collective at this time. Then we have Pisces, last but not least, we have Pisces, and we have that 10th and that 4th house again. So for Pisces, we have the 4th house being in Gemini and the 10th house being in Sagittarius. So this is really about a dialogue of the heart for Pisces. What are those conversations that you've denied? What are those spaces that you haven't been completely honest about yourself within the heart? How can you bring more light to those things that you deny or you try to pretend that are not there? Bringing a satisfaction to that conversation deep within the soul, deep within the heart. And then through the 10th house of Capricorn, which is what am I building, how am I showing, how am I being structured? How from that heart level of digging deep and listening to the stories of, you know, the downtrodden, the people that have lived a certain life, and bringing that conversation together, how can I then align with that universal divine truth and divine geometry within the 10th house of Capricorn, which is the restructuring? What is the truth? How is that truth going to serve humanity at this time, and the restructuring to bringing that light? So that is the 12 signs and an overview of what you're going to be going through throughout this time, and it's going to be going over this whole year. So brace yourselves, buckle up, and yeah, it's like come into stillness. Everybody is being given some grace with this time to just stop. And it's really a powerful point for the world at this time, because in stopping we are also able to come to a center of where I'm coming from, where I'm going, and to be much more effective, rather than being, you know, like how we were before. Everyone was just racing and trying to keep up. So as much as there is this global transformation taking place, the world is turned upside down, but then we can ask ourselves, has the world actually turned right side up? You know? It's like, was I always living in an upside down world, and now it's actually turned right side up, and we're now shaking out the crap, and we're actually seeing where the program itself, which is the story, the narrative, yeah? So this is the narrative of what we've been told, what we've been fed, how the information is there. It's like food for thought. What kind of information have I been fed by those who came before me? And how did I also watch them live quite ineffectively with their lives and be caught up in a certain way of being, which then affected their emotions and affected the way they lived? That also became ineffective. So this is about effectiveness, and effectiveness is the measure of truth. So with effectiveness being the measure of truth, what is effective in my life? What is flowing? What feels effortless? How can I stand in the center of the storm, stand in the eye of the storm at this time, and just be a pillar of that truth? This is not time for mollycoddling people's emotions and fears either. This is also pushing the edge a little bit with that Sagittarius energy, you know. As long as it is said with love, as long as we can have an intelligent and stimulating conversation that also challenges our views, that challenges our viewpoints and makes us see, oh, okay, I didn't know that. Because we all have so much to learn, and there's so much that we don't know. So let's do a quick meditation, just aligning that duality and just coming into the heart space now. You've been walking down this road for a long time. Now sitting in your seat and just relaxing and getting a sense of where you have come from and the anticipation of where you are going. Coming into the wonder of your heart space now. The anticipation and the excitement and the activation of light at this time. As we are coming into this space of questioning our mind, our thoughts, our thinking, and undoing and taking away the impressions that we identified with. Who am I, and what was I before I was fed all these thoughts from others and their stories and their world? Coming into the center of the heart, you are now going to feel your spirit, the joyous aspect of your spirit that dances with life. Just connecting to your spirit body now. And you are now beginning to walk down a path laden with beautiful trees on either side and beautiful colorful flowers of blue, red, yellow, orange. And up ahead you see some purple flowers. The golden path opens up, and from your heart space you begin to walk. And with every step you take, your feet light up the path. You begin to realize that you are the light. That just by being you, you are the emission of the divine truth. You are the miracle of this life. You are the manifestation of divine love and the desire to connect, to converse, to understand yourself and your world around you. And with this anticipation and this possibility, you're allowing your wings to open now. You realize you are growing these beautiful blue wings. As you step through into this path, you are now desiring to connect with others, other people, calling in your soul tribe, calling in like-minded others, and even those who may propose a whole new view for you. Being open to the new view, being open to your mind being blown by other possibilities at this time. And you keep walking down this road and you come into this beautiful space, this beautiful garden, and you see other beautiful eyes and smiles smiling back at you. Many beings, many species even, animals. There is a bear, there is a deer. There is even a tiger sitting there just relaxing in the sunlight, looking at you, reflecting back to you your power, your courage. A zebra comes in now as well, showing the black and the white, and the ability to read between the lines of truth. The ability to bring the white and the black together and to create something so beautiful and so unique. This beautiful animal standing there in the sunshine. And the flowers begin to sing a beautiful song to you. We have been waiting for you to return to the light of your innocence and the magic of your heart, to open to the truth, to open to your alignment in this beautiful space, to feel so connected with yourself and with others. in your heart, in your soul. We are you, and you are we. Oh, the colors of the rainbow, shining in the sun, shining in your heart. And it's a beautiful day, and you run to the beautiful people, the fairies, the blue beings, all colors uniting, black, brown, all the colors in between, white, holding hands now, having this understanding that our hearts unite. And we all desire the same things: community, understanding, light, to be heard, to be received, to listen, to feel, to know the ultimate truth in remembering who we are. Coming back, bringing the magic back into this space, into this room, this feeling of interconnection, the feeling of feeling free to walk your path in sovereignty, and bringing it back into this space, into the light, into your heart, and into the world. Namaste, beautiful souls. Thank you for being here. And I will return sometime later in the week with a song. I will play my guitar and do a little set for you of some songs I've written at this time. Much love, so much love to all of you.